All right, today I've got a new rock star in the real estate world, Mr. Mark Peterson. What office are you at?
I'm with Realty One Group Ultimate, and our main office is in Elwood City, and we actually have plans of opening a couple more offices in the near future.
Already? You guys are on fire.
It has gone well. And I don't know the exact date, Greg, but a little bit later we're going to be opening up an office in New Brighton. I think within about a month or so.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that building. It looks like it's going to be. It doesn't look like you have to do much at all. It looks like you guys are going to be able to throw that together really quick, and it looks like it's going to be a great office. It's a great location in the middle of town.
Well, it's in New Brighton.
And
what could be better?
I'm from New Brighton, so I'm glad. I like to see some money being invested there. And then it looks like your company is really doing a complete renovation of something in Newcastle.
Yeah, I believe the building that my broker and her husband, Christina Hoffmeyer.
Hi, Christina.
And Anthony Januso.
Okay.
Fantastic team. So I don't want to use the word we too much because this is their project. I'm happy to be a part of their organization. I believe it's the Flanagan's Pub or Flanagan's Bar.
Okay.
And that's probably not correct either. So maybe you're going to test your editing ability.
You know what? Who cares? Because all we're going to know is it's going to be Realty One Ultimate.
It's on the main street in downtown Newcastle, near where they call it the Diamond.
Okay.
I think it's a roundabout.
It's a diamond with round edges.
Yeah, it's just to the east of that.
Okay.
On the main street there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, whatever you were calling it before. Hopefully everybody uses that as a landmark. Hey, you go by, Realty One, and they start using that as the landmark to get people around in that town.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
But it never hurts to take over something that it's very easy to say, hey, we're in the XYZ building.
Yes.
We're in the old theater. We're in the old bar. We're in the old this.
Yes.
It's an instant landmark because when you say we're at such and such 123 Main Street, people can't visualize that in their mind.
That's right. And I guess in a way too, I mean, I know Anthony, from what I've seen, he's working his butt off getting that place ready. Christina's working her butt off getting that place ready. They've already you guys have a successful office in Elwood. So I see new agents coming all the time. So
oh, it's going to be great.
That's good.
And with Christina's leadership and the other salespeople that work in our office, they do a lot of business in Newcastle.
Yes.
So we're already, as a company, pretty well established there. And having the physical presence of a building and an office is going to really solidify that effort. But even without it, and from running the title company, we're doing a lot of business in that area.
Yes, you are.
With buying and selling
investor
property.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
single family homes and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my one question is that I didn't want to talk about too much of the past, okay? Because we are in the future, and I think only good things are going to be happening for you. But
they're going to happen. We know that for sure. And it's up to you and me, Dave, or Greg, I should say. Got you mixed up with your brother. It's up to you and me, Greg. See, I made a nice edit there. It's up to you and me, Greg, to turn those events into a positive perception.
That's right. How your former life was owning a radio station.
Yes.
What made you leave that? How the heck did you get involved in real estate? Because the first time I really met you was at a closing where you were selling something. You weren't in real estate. I met you in between your transition. What the heck happened at that transition, at that closing, when you were a seller selling something, that you decided, I want to do that. I want to sell real estate?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I don't think I would ever have left the radio business. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being being involved with it. We did well as a company and had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And but we were fortunate enough to have another person come along who really had an emotional attachment to the radio business, and specifically our radio stations, and wanted to buy them very badly.
Oh. Who are you to say no?
and this went on for about 2 years.
Oh.
And
So this was something you had to really think about.
I believe, initially I used phrasing like, yeah, someday we'll do that. Yeah, I'm in. I just don't want to sell it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I never said no, but I left it nebulous. And eventually that started getting a little tense, and they said, well, why don't you at least go figure out a number for us and tell us what you want, and then we'll go from there.
So at that radio station, being a smaller station, I'm going to guess you wore many hats. I know you and I were talking earlier. You did sales. You weren't some guy just sat in an office desk and ordered people around. You hit the streets yourself.
Oh, that's true. And the sales in the street selling, that was my thing.
And you enjoyed that.
Yeah. So getting back to one part of your earlier question, real estate helps. It fills that void of that's what I like to do. So I like contacting customers.
Mm-hmm.
If I call a client and they call me back and I get an appointment, I mean that's like winning.
Is it like a game?
It almost doesn't matter if you sell them anything.
Right.
And that's the way some salespeople are wired. There are folks that do live for the commission check, and we had a big discussion about different types of salespeople and temperaments, but there are other people that love the action. They like the interaction, and when somebody says, yes, I will take one of those, that's the reward. The commission and the paperwork is almost just a symptom afterwards.
It's a bonus. I mean, I enjoy probably the sales of things of meeting the individuals, because everybody's a character to me, and I like to see how different people function, act, run. What do they do with their lives? What interests they have? I guess you're getting to still do that same thing with people wanting to make the biggest purchase of their life.
Oh, a little bit. Keep in mind, I was in the advertising sales world.
Okay.
And now I am selling a static product.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing, when you're talking about a home or a commercial building, it's pretty set in stone, mm-hmm. figuratively and literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
It is. So you're not going to change a lot about the product.
Okay.
If you have somebody walking through the house and they're saying, boy, I don't know.
See, this is an interesting view. Some people don't think of things like this.
They're going to say, they might say things like, man, it looks like the roof hasn't been replaced in a number of years. Well, that's probably because the roof hasn't been replaced in a number of years. And you're right, you're observing things pretty correctly. And the job is then not so much to convince them that, oh no, that roof is fine. Or in the creative advertising world, you always had the opportunity to make a different ad.
I see.
So the similar example would be if you could somehow take those qualities and apply it to a real estate salesperson, you would simply look at the person and say, what if I made that roof go away? What if it was a different color and didn't leak right now? Could you sign on the dotted line? We can't do that. So it's a completely different type of selling where the product doesn't change, but your ability to communicate with the client, the prospect, and ascertain, is it better to go find another property that doesn't have a leaking roof, or doesn't have a pink bathroom, or doesn't have this, or does have that? And then the selling is more finding those other listings,
mm-hmm.
finding another property that works good, finding one that plays well within whatever type of loan scenario the prospect, the financing scenario, I should say, where they're at, so that they can do the deal.
How long have you been doing this?
11 months.
Oh, sounds like you've been paying attention over the last 11 months.
Well, that's salespeople, if they don't learn it from their trainers, from their owners, from whoever, they're going to learn it themselves rather quickly, and that's you could spend a fair amount of time with a prospect.
Yeah.
Lots of time, as a matter of fact, spinning your wheels or chasing down something that is never going to happen.
Right.
And being able to guide the prospect, and I'm still learning this lesson a lot in the real estate business, into a place where they need to be, where they can play. So if a person has a government-backed loan, which has a higher standard of inspections and appraisals and things like that have to meet standards because there's more risk involved for the lender. Things like FHA or USDA or VA loans. If a person's approved for that type of a loan, that's great, and we love working with them. However, your skill as the real estate agent is, let's try and show them properties where they can effectively use their money that they're approved for. Maybe we better stay away from some of the grand mansions that need a little fixing up, even though it looks like they could afford it.
No, that's actually
That's a tough skill, let me tell you.
Yeah,
because they all want to look at.
They do. So, but your goal too is to help people find what's right for them, and maybe what's not just. It sounds like a great idea. I want to go look at homes, but when you find out what's out there, there's all these compromises and things. So it's you helping people guide through these compromises, and who knows, maybe you help them see something they realize that I do need that. I didn't even know I needed that.
Correct. And a lot of times you'll see the process kind of taking shape out of the gate. And because I'm new, most of the people I'm working with are many of them are first-time home buyers. And this is their first rodeo, and we're all learning together, myself included. And sometimes they don't know what they want until they've seen what they don't want. So they go through a house that only has a bathroom on the upper floor. They never really thought about that before, but now that they've seen what that's like, it helps you as the agent to find the houses that are going to check those boxes.
Okay.
Because it's pretty easy to find appointments with, or depending on the inventory, it's easier to at least search amongst houses that have a bathroom on the first floor.
Sure.
A lot of people have dogs nowadays.
Yes, they do. COVID sure got everybody a dog, didn't they?
And the interesting thing, Greg, is people want to go look and see what the yard's like almost before, going to check what type of a furnace it has, or a roof, or you read the seller's disclosure. They got to see, is there room for my dog? And so that is a totally immovable thing, so to speak. If a house does not have a backyard or a side yard,
because you can go buy a new furnace.
Yeah, right. Let's go look at something else. Or better yet, let's plan ahead a little bit and not ever show them that house in the first place.
It's really funny that you say that, because I've been looking for another property, not locally, but in another area.
Do you have an agent?
I might, but well, no, out of Pennsylvania. And what's funny is when I scroll through the pictures, because I'm just a rum-dum buyer, I don't care about a lot of the interior pictures. I'm looking at what am I going to look outside. Things like, what are my views of going, things that I can't change. Because I can change paint. I guess I'm at that age, like I can change a furnace. I can change those things. But I can't change where my dog can run around, where my family can sit outside, I can't change those things. And I'm always looking for those outside pictures more than I'm looking for. I guess maybe I should be worried about some of these mechanicals. I'm not worried about them as much.
Heat's overrated.
Shelter is too, I guess.
It hardly goes below 20 degrees around here anymore.
But I guess you're right. I'm one of those pain in the butt people. I'm looking for something. You're thinking I'm worried about some bricks and mortar things, and I'm worried about what I'm looking at. And just like that person looking at the dog for the yard. You got to deal with crazy people like me.
These are skills that in the real estate world, I don't even know if they're skills. They're
scary.
perceptions that you make note of.
Mm-hmm.
But I've tried to, pets, dogs, yard is almost maybe like the top thing. That's with the houses that they're already looking at online are probably that's what they're looking for.
You guys are good with those pictures too.
Well, yes, we try.
No, I mean,
here's a very common thought though.
They're good.
Occasionally you'll have somebody come through a house and say, "Oh, well, this is almost exactly the way it looked online," but that's a little rare. In the modern world,
I don't mean that as an insult. I mean the pictures now are phenomenal. That you get a better view of the world when you get there. To me.
Oh, they do. They give you a tremendous view, and in some cases, not always, a little bit too good of a view. So with special cameras and things of that sort and all the whiz-bang tools, sometimes people show up at showings and they're a tad disappointed. The living room appears online because of very talented photographers and very good high-end equipment to be, it looks like it's maybe bigger than what it was. Or
spatially, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see
and
that.
of course, they're not altered photos. You can't do that. But nonetheless, people do make their decisions based on what they see online first in those photos, and sometimes it's hard to overcome when they walk through the door and they have that initial disappointment. Oh, this isn't what it.
Yeah, I guess I don't get that world. I don't get that part. You're right. I guess I never.
Well, you don't look at the inside pictures. You just
no. But
a beginner buyer does. They want to see, like, okay, where are we going to put little Susie? She's going to have this this bedroom up here. Oh, look, there's already a pink bedroom. Where are you going to park your ATV? The husband's got one of those.
Got toys.
And they've got a computer room, and they've got this, and the rooms all look adequate size online. Now, they could always go read the dimensions too. Most people don't.
Yeah, they don't.
And,
I don't.
So that might be just more my observation of it's somewhat of a common thing.
Who does do you do your pictures or do you have somebody do pictures?
Both.
Okay.
So I've taken pictures myself, and I've also used Nate Musselman, I believe is the guy's name.
Because you understand this. You understand, like when you came here today, you're like, okay, what switchboard do you have? You know the equipment, and I'm sure. I mean, even at your radio station, like we were talking earlier, a guy that you had, I could watch that broadcast live. So you know cameras, you know these things.
Oh, it's a strange world, Greg. And you have a really neat setup here using all the modern equipment and a nice little interface there. And folks can't see it on the video here, but the interface we're using, the audio interface to bring this audio, is the size of a wallet.
It is. It's small.
And to me, that is just amazing. And it has brought what used to be real high-end professional technology and put it in the hands of everybody. So where I'm going with this, though, is you cannot, as a real estate agent or any type of business for that matter, and this used to be a point of, we would have these discussions in my previous radio world. There are kids that are 12 years old and 6 years old and 8 years old putting out really slick looking videos.
Better than I can do.
We cannot, and when I was in the media company, we can't afford to put a video out there. And I think the station still does, and when I was there, we would live stream the high school football games with video. Mm-hmm. And admittedly, when we were still learning the process, there would be times where you'd see the quarterback throwing the ball and the frames would freeze up because we didn't have enough bandwidth.
Yeah.
We were trying to shove too much data down through a skinny pipe. And these are things we learned. Well, we learn it, that's good, and hopefully we change for the next time. But what happens is damage. Mm-hmm. So someone's watching the video or the picture, or they see pictures from the game or whatever, and they immediately think to themselves, well, your little cousin Bobby makes better videos than that. Those people, They're professionals. They can't even do it, and they don't come back. So
I guess that is a tough thing.
So
Yeah.
I guess and one of the, so it's really important, I think. Again, banking on all 11 months of experience here, I can see all the other real estate agents rolling their eyes in the back of that. Hi, but
but how many units have you sold this year?
12.
That's pretty darn good.
Thank you. I don't know that it's good or bad. I'm
That's
having
good.
fun. So I think I set my goal at 24 for the year, averaging
Okay.
2 a month. So I'm pacing just a tad behind because, no, I guess I'm right on. That's right. We finished June, not July.
Mm-hmm.
See, I never could count.
You're right. Don't worry. You're on pace.
Well, at the end of June, which would have been Friday, I had 11. So the last closing was technically in July. But as we sit right now,
You're good.
never mind.
You got it. You got this.
Back to the pictures though is it's super important to, especially that first one, the one the I think it's called the featured photo.
Yes.
That when you're looking at online, whether it's the consumer portals like Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia, there's a display photo.
Okay.
That its job is to get you to look at the rest of them.
It is.
It has no other job, because if that display photo doesn't do it, quote unquote, do it for you, because that's the one you see in the email header too.
There's that sales.
It's the
That
headline.
advertising.
It's the headline, and the headline's job is to do what? To get you to look at the rest of the article.
That's right. Did you write the ads at the radio station too?
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't just selling ads. You were the creative person also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That I don't know if many people realize that. That's not normal 100%. Some people sell the ads and then you have some creative people. So you were actually selling, writing the ads. So I'm sure that helps you write some of your ads that you are right now when you put things in the model system and describe a home. This isn't the first.
A little bit. The first, and I've not done a lot of listings, but a few. And initially I was using some of that flowery language that we used to use in the media world, and I would get mean emails from somebody at the MLS. You can't do that. You're not allowed to say that. But I learned.
Yeah.
Experience is a great teacher.
Yeah.
And so.
So you said 24 units is your goal for this year, which I think you've
And I'm available in case anyone is watching
right now.
I got to sell 12 more.
Yeah, let's get him there
by
by August.
I do have a slot for you.
Okay, he's free, he's ready. Let's do it. Where do you see yourself next year, the following year? This is a career that you're dedicated, you're staying. This isn't like, you're not just dipping your toe in. You are a real estate agent now.
Absolutely. And
okay. This isn't playing around. You're really.
Oh, you can't play around if you're going to be a real estate agent. I think one of the things that I wasn't completely aware of, I was somewhat aware of the structure and how real estate agents make money, but you can't. If you're going to go sign up and get a license, you have to be serious, because you need to affiliate with a broker, you need to subscribe to the MLS and the key opening programs, and amongst other things, and you have to carry errors and omission insurance. A lot of these things come through the broker. So in day one, before you sell any houses, and again, all the real estate agents that are watching this, they're like, oh my, he's way back, learning the basic. But
watch out, Mark. I get at least 3 people that watch this.
Oh, hello. So they're all thinking like, oh yeah, he's figured it out. But so I think it's a thing where the perception is amongst some people that, oh, that'll be a kind of a good thing to do on the side, and it is. But keep in mind, the fees that one has to pay for the privilege of doing it, to keep the license active, to affiliate with a broker, are going to dictate that you need to create some activity. Otherwise, you've simply created a liability that's going to be a burden for your other household income activities. because of my situation with selling my company and then moving on to a different field, I had the ability to do it full time.
Yes,
And
which is huge.
initially, I sort of thought, well, I'm going to do it full time. I'm going to have some fun with it. I'm going to make some money. And that's exactly what's happened. But the salesman in me is starting to take over. So in other words, I'm a little competitive. And I like to do well. I like to be successful.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know that I have visions of developing it into a my own independent office or anything. I don't see that, but I do want to do well.
How about, was your wife, what did she think about you doing this?
Oh, she liked it. I think she was getting nervous after we sold the radio station. Like, you know, yeah, after about 2 weeks of sitting around in my underwear and watching The Price is Right, and seeming like I was kind of settling in for the long haul. Like,
she was
starting to like check the calendar.
Like, when is he gonna leave?
Yeah, I think there was like, Mark, keep in mind you're going to have to buy health insurance and things like that now. So what are you going to do? If you just spend the money that you already have, eventually it's going to run out. Oh yeah, you got a point. What should I do? And then
she think? But was she surprised by this?
No, it was a natural thing because we had a couple rental properties when we had the radio stations.
Okay.
Business client, and
so real estate this isn't your first rodeo. You were a participant in real estate. You owned real estate.
I just didn't
multiple real estate.
Yeah.
You had commercial real estate. You had residential real estate. This isn't. You know what it's like to go buy, sell. You've worn those hats.
Yeah.
Just you weren't sitting wearing that other seat at the closing table.
Yeah, initially I thought, well, maybe what I'll do is I'll just buy houses and remodel them and flip houses and do things like that.
That's what I thought you were doing.
And
that's funny you said that.
And then I sort of shifted gears, and I'm trying to think why. There was a good reason why. Oh, that's right. So I bought a property, remodeled it, had a lot of fun with it, kept myself busy, and I'd go over there to hang out and screw around. After that was mainly most of last year, and at the end of the day, I have more money in it than what I could ever possibly sell it for. So it's a rental, and people that do that effectively, that is a unique skill.
Mm-hmm.
You have to buy. Flipping is what I'm speaking of. Buy the house at a very good price point,
which is hard right now.
Yeah, and it has to. You can't just buy a house that's going to be a good rental property. Is not going to be a good flip property in many cases, and the opposite would be true.
Yes.
Sometimes the house that's going to work real good as a flip might not be the best rental property, because a flip property is going to have a good upside to it, and that usually pertains to location. You get a property that's in need of some repair, but it's in an okay or halfway decent location, a desirable neighborhood. So by putting some money into it, it can grow a lot higher in the potential sales price. Well, most of the properties that are highly sought after for rental properties are downtown and close to the bus lines. And traditionally,
you're right,
with some exceptions, because there's lots more inventory and lesser demand for buying those houses, they're lower priced. And so
they have monthly revenue.
You can buy them cheap, but you're not going to grow them into. There's not a lot of headroom.
Yeah, I get it. In some areas, you're just not going to get appreciation. In some areas where you don't get appreciation, you can get monthly income, which is rental. Which you're 100% correct. But it's funny because I thought when I saw you get your license, I go, he's going to flip properties.
And I may dabble in that. I'm not ruling anything out.
Well, we just did a closing yesterday, and you had happy buyers. So I think this route that you're going might be better.
Oh, it is. So I was working with a real estate agent in Pittsburgh, and I sold a house in Pittsburgh back in May. And she just seemed that this lady seemed like she struggling. I mean, they're just tough. I mean, down on herself, and she was complaining about business was tough, and things are just tough, and they're not like they used to be, and it's not easy anymore, and this or that. And I stood back and looked at her, and I said, well, I mean, what are you talking about? I said, what other business could you do where you don't have to own the inventory?
That's right.
And depending on how you get your leads, you might, even if you're buying your leads, somebody clicks on an internet ad and your phone rings and they want to go look at a property, and you can make, in some cases, up to 3% commission, maybe more as a buyer's agent, depending on what you negotiate. I said, I really don't know anything that would be easier. And she looked at me and said, I never really thought about it like that.
It's true.
Anything else you would do, you'd have to stock the shelves, buy the inventory.
You would.
You would have to, even here with what you do, Greg, you have to go out, find your customers, and and because not everybody is a broker or a real estate agent. I think there are about 400 real estate agents in Beaver County.
There might be.
Well, so that's a big number, but there's 165,000 people.
That's correct.
If you're selling bread.
That's right.
If you're selling title insurance and closing companies, your audience is 400, and maybe less.
Or maybe less.
So you want to talk
It's
about
actually less, because how many people are licensed that don't really do that much.
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
It's crazy. Because you're right.
The total membership.
You're making me depressed right now. Stop it.
Well, we had a similar business model when I was at the radio stations.
Yeah.
We had 125 people, give or take.
Can we sell sunglasses on the beach, maybe?
There you go. But they're all, the business models are different.
They are.
But my point in the real estate business is, I can't imagine something being easier and more profitable. Now, don't get me wrong. They're going to roll their eyes again. The people that are watching it. It's not as easy from the standpoint of there are 400 agents, or give or take, and their competition is fierce, even amongst buyers or listing.
75 of them will agree with you right now.
Do we know what 75 they are? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's the competition thing, and then there's
they're the ones that are actually selling the houses.
The deals are complicated, more so than, say, selling a lawnmower down at the hardware store.
Way more. You have more emotion.
So there's that. There's a time it's hard. The detail work is much harder.
Yes.
But if you boil it down to, you have the opportunity to sell something that costs several $100,000, and it's already there for you. You have to unlock the door and let them go in and look at it.
You know what's great? You just no, but you're not wrong. And what's nice is it's nice to hear somebody say something freaking positive, and look at this from a positive instead of like you're not whining.
Greg, I sort of
basically you're declaring.
Now, Christina, if you're watching this, tune out for a second. I mean, I view this as a license to go print money. I mean, they call it a Pennsylvania real estate salesperson.
You're investing. You're not investing a lot of money. You're investing your time, and you have the time, and you're turning it into cash.
Right, but that piece of paper gives you the privilege or the right to go charge a commission.
That's right.
By letting somebody walk through somebody else's house, and then if they want it, you do the paperwork. That's right. What could be easier? I'll submit that to you. Now, ask me that sometime when I'm having a bad day.
No, I know. When a bad inspection. I mean, but then the nice thing is what you're saying right now. So people don't take this the wrong way. You're basically saying there is definitely way more positives in this industry than there are negatives. But we have so many people just focus on all of the negatives.
Well, I think we could probably go a step farther and just say that's not unique to real estate sales.
It's not.
Any business. So you always have folks that in any world that focus on why things went wrong they anticipated making a certain amount of money and it didn't work out, or they thought that this guy was going to buy that and it didn't work out. Well, guess what? That's going to happen again next week.
It is.
Get used to it. Go find.
It is.
One of my favorite sayings that I used to tell people, they would get sick of it, they would yell at me when in my other business, was sometimes the easiest way to go close a client or sell a client that you don't like or doesn't like you is go find somebody else. and in this
you
world,
need to you're right. The thing is to you have, if you're not continually replacing things, and it's going to die off on its own. You got to keep on replacing things.
Sure, you got to replace things, and I'm not advocating for people to, as soon at the first sign of that someone to fire that client. No, but there is a tendency in being the competitive salesperson that I am. I struggle with this a little bit, in that I need to sell everybody, and it's okay if you don't. The phone's going to ring again this afternoon, and someone else is going to need to go look at a house.
Not everybody's ready.
And you're not even going to remember that call.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes people think they're ready, and really they're not ready. And maybe that's what you're weeding out. Maybe the thing is they're not going to go buy somewhere else. They're not ready. They thought they were ready, and they realize maybe I need to wait 6 months. Maybe I'm not serious enough about this. And when you get somebody that's really serious about something, you can be all in and really work hard for that person. But there are some people that aren't serious yet. They're window shopping to a certain degree. But when they're serious, they're serious.
I think there's a mindset like they see their friend shopping for houses. They want to initiate the process. Sometimes because they know that eventually they're going to buy one. They don't know what it looks like. They think this is what you do. And it's all good because eventually they buy a house. It might be 2 or 3 years down the road. Who knows when. But I think sometimes you have a little bit of that first foray into looking at houses, in that they're just, it's what's expected of you as a young couple. It's time to go buy a house. Let's go look at a house or two. They don't really know what they're getting into. They haven't really even thought about it a whole lot.
No, they just think that that's what they're supposed to do.
They don't even know for sure if they want to move, but it starts. And I think and there are some very, very good sales agents, and you and I have talked about them before this meeting. There's a lot of them in this area, and they're all very talented. And those talented ones, and I've started trying to learn some of these skills, those talented ones are very good at helping those folks to discover what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Let's talk next year.
Yeah.
Let's and we can look at a house in the meantime if you like, and then helping, just kind of holding their hand but staying in the background and helping to guide them where they need to go, as opposed to just letting them flounder out there and calling them every once in a while with the deal of the week.
Yeah. I think it's scary to people. It's not scary to me to move, but for some people, that is it's overwhelming.
Oh, there's people I know, Greg, that they'd rather move than paint the inside of their house. It's easier.
I know. I mean, I know people will laugh, but
we got to look at a gray. We want a gray interior this time. So rather than repaint, let's just go buy something else.
Well, yeah, and you'll have people like, well, if I have to do this to the house, we're not leaving.
Oh yeah.
You'll get some of that, but really, when it comes down to it, it is an investment, but it's also where you live. I think through COVID, I've noticed a lot of people have taken more of a look up. I better like my house. We got stuck here one time. I don't want to get stuck here again. I know that spurred a lot of people fixing up their homes. I was doing a lot of closings with people improving their homes. And there are some people realizing, we could live other places. Some people never even sat in their home that long and realized, I don't know if I like it here. I've been working.
Yeah, well, this place really isn't that great.
Right. But, I mean, I think it's amazing that you've been able to help as many people that you've helped so far, and your business is growing. I understand you've also been the sales leader a few times in your office. Is that true?
Oh, I didn't mean for you to. I happened to mention it casually that.
I've seen it on the internet. Don't you
worry. I was
worry.
surprised myself, but a couple times maybe, yeah.
That's pretty.
And I think
darn good.
that's more a factor of getting the right leads at the time when the right houses were available, and I simply was able to open the door.
Yes.
I do refer to myself sometimes
stop
as a professional door unlocker.
Stop it. Stop. I know. I used to say I'm a professional signature gatherer. But stop it. Stop it. I mean,
I can open the door for anybody. I'm good at it.
so.
I know how to get that key out, open the door.
Now, having that radio background, are we ever going to see a real estate show from you?
We're going to see a real estate show. Is radio going to be the medium? That I don't know.
So you are thinking of this?
Oh, sure.
Okay. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, there will be probably some sort of a series or a thing or a, look for it coming soon, as they would say. Just listed as the. Well, they used to even call it was the TV listings. Remember the TV guide?
Yes.
And before that, there are actually really old newspapers that you could buy, in antique stores and in the area, and they would have radio listings.
Yeah.
They would. Can you imagine sitting around and looking what programs are on this radio station and that radio station throughout the day? Now those went away probably in the 40s, 50s maybe, where the newspapers would publish listings.
Mm-hmm.
And they've gone away with real estate. So
yes, they have.
It used to be
your placement in the newspaper was paramount, and real estate companies used to really worry about where they were, especially on that Sunday paper, and that type of advertising we're not doing right now.
Oh, you would see.
I
think once a quarter.
Do you get a newspaper?
Yes.
I do not. Okay.
That's you could ask me another question is, do I read it? And I would probably have to ashamedly say no. When I was involved in the media, that was a big thing. And getting it every day and looking at who was advertising in there, what was going on here in our local marketplace was that's akin to looking at the daily residential hot sheet on the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
What got sold, what new listing, you read that every day because that's your lifeblood.
It is, yes.
So the newspaper was a little bit like that. It was a barometer of the local marketplace for us. And but once I got out of that business, I realized like how archaic that type of publication is.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's still a huge need for local news and information and ways to advertise. That's true. A paper-bound volume might not. That's kind of odd.
Could you I have a marketing background, worked in a little bit of advertising. Could you have ever dreamed that we were going to come into a world where most advertising is not paid for?
No, I would not have been able to dream that even only like 4 or 5 years ago. But it is just, it's been a fun transition for me to see like all the different ways that you can target, reach, monitor people's surfing habits, things of that sort. In our old-fashioned radio world, we didn't know a lot of this technology existed, but for what we were doing, it wouldn't have been. But perhaps there are more sophisticated monitoring programs.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who's in the inside of the real estate, probably most other businesses. I mean, the programs that you could subscribe to that will provide you leads, that will tell you when and how people who aren't even your leads are looking at your property.
Yes.
And who they are and where they live.
Yes. It's crazy.
I mean, I almost feel like I need to whisper that. Like, that almost seems a little invasive. But it's true.
It is true. It is true. I mean, the amount of money that a company used to spend on advertising is now a lot of it Facebook, things of that nature. I think at first it was discounted as, oh, this is just free. It's not. But some of the advertising looks really professional. You still can pay to boost things. Don't get me wrong.
Well, even if you do, let's say you pay to you buy some exposure on Facebook or whatever medium it is. You're talking a couple $100.
Yeah. Not like before, right?
And you're going to be able to reach thousands of people and dial it into certain zip codes and certain lifestyles and all these other things. Are you kidding me? How in the world could you compete with that as a mass media?
You can't. Yeah. This advertising is changed. I don't know how many advertising agencies are even still around anymore. I don't, obviously there's still campaigns and things that you would do. You still need, for the larger companies, you still need a PR person. But the smaller advertising, more of the advertising that you and I know of, the local mom and pop places, they can get effective advertising now for a fraction of the price that they used to have to pay. Do you think that this is going to keep on going? Do you foresee something new on the horizon for advertising?
Well, we're peddling influence is what you're talking about. So how much does it cost to make a meaningful impression on somebody and influence them? I mean, there will always be a price tag on that. And, from 1919 or 1920 through around 1940, it was a newspaper and radio. Those are the two ways that you could get in front of people and influence them.
Yes.
And there was a pretty, and because there were only two, the price tag was high.
Yes.
Around 1940, most households started having televisions, and up to really about 2000, mid 90s to 2000, that was when things were starting to change as far as the internet. And by 2007, 2005, 2007, you had social media channels and smartphones, and that's the world we live in now. It's really like post 2005. But so there's just a myriad of options. Well, here's a quick example. It wouldn't be uncommon, even in a small market like Beaver County, a county of 165,000 people, for a car dealer or a department store or a healthcare institution to spend $3,000 or $4,000, a couple $1,000 anyways, a month on their radio advertising with a little company like ours. And in the instance of the car dealer, they're going to spend between or they used to, I imagine it's way different now, $25,000 and $50,000 a month on mass media advertising, because that's what they had to do to move those cars. So keep that in mind where I'm going with this. With the aforementioned house that I was remodeling and then deciding to turn it into a rental, there are lots of programs out there that you can buy placement in and buy and subscribe to their software, and I signed up for one of those. I believe it's $15 a month. $15 a month.
Okay.
So for $15 a month, they advertise the apartment. They put it out on it automatically goes to Realtor.com and Zillow and all these other places I don't even know where it's going. I get leads from Apartments.com, and they, one right after the other, the people are finding me. Right. And then I can make them go through this. That sounds horrible. I can ask my tenants to sign up through this software company, do their applications, pay the rent, pay the water bills, all these things online for $15 a month. I know. And they're finding me my clients. So, and I don't bring this great dissertation up to promote the rental software company. I bring it up to your point of the contrast of what's available now versus what used to be available.
Yes.
So there are people that don't really have any money to spend and don't know exactly what they're doing that are buying programs that are way more sophisticated way more effective than what thousands of dollars used to buy years ago with an ad agency giving you direction and everything. And I don't know what that world looks like for the future of mass media.
Yes.
You know, I hope the folks that bought my radio station didn't hear that last one. But it's true. And I'm sure that they've done their due diligence, and there's still a role for it. So in other words, information distribution is very key. And when there are times of emergency and trouble and power outages, and that's when mass media usage with radio and television would go really high. Because sometimes the other things don't work anymore.
Okay.
There's still that almost like safety aspect of in radio in particular, of needing to be there for when those big things happen.
Yeah, I you know, from people that own real estate companies now that had them even in the 80s, I remember like the advertising, the print advertising, starting to play around with, remember Rhino Productions?
Oh yeah.
Doing some cable direct mailing, which some direct mailing still happens now.
Believe it or not, direct mail is still the only method that you can employ where you are guaranteed to reach every household. And you have the last research that I saw, somewhere around a 2 or 3% response rate. Well, I think that the issue is how much does it cost? It's very expensive to send out and with 1 or 2% response, 3% response, whatever it is, it's somewhere in that neighborhood. And a lot of it depends on how good the piece that you're sending out is. But then you get into high production. Very, very expensive, but nonetheless, you can do a direct mail and reach everybody.
Let's not forget about the yellow pages. You remember those things?
Oh,
remember
yes.
a phone book? Those things were very expensive. Just a phone bill. I remember at a real estate company. Remember when you called Sewickley from Beaver? That was a toll call.
I still have a 412 exchange with my cell phone. I never changed it for that reason. So that's how long I've had that number. And I live in New Brighton, so I should have a 724 number. But back in that day, Ambridge, Aliquippa, anything from 775 exchange south.
That's
and
right.
I realize people are probably watching all over.
People don't know what you and I are talking about.
Yeah.
Some people, you know.
That costs you extra on your home phone.
Yeah, you got to be at least 50 years old to really understand that, probably.
And then I thought, well, what if I have clients in Pittsburgh that want to call me? If I hang on to this 412 number.
So we had a 1-800 number that we paid for.
Yeah. Well,
remember those?
That was the whole reason that I decided to hang on to that number. Much to the rest of my family was never real jazzed about that, by the way.
Yeah.
So because they were all on my line, my kids, everyone has a 412 number.
Right. But those were I remember $3,000 a month phone bills for toll calls. I remember the advertising. So it's as tough as this business is now. Those owners got to remember that we're back. We were spending a lot more money. Now they're spending money in other places now. I would say agents now are getting better percentages than they were back then, which is great. Which the owner shouldn't care as much about, because they're not paying these phone bills, advertising bills that they used to. It's just different. Now the agent, I would think, is being enriched a little bit more, but it's on the agent more to do their own marketing.
That's correct. So it varies. So certain agents, I think, do a lot. And we know because we see them everywhere. They're buying placement here, placement there. You can see their face down at the restaurant and the tabletops and all these other things. And the difference is those agents are running a business.
Yeah.
There are part-time agents and other folks like that they have a license, and every once in a while they do a deal, but they're not doing a lot of their own marketing.
Well, that's why I have high hopes for you, because I think the longer you're in this, you're like me a little bit. I try to figure out.
I'm a dumbing down version of a Pelusa.
No. I tried to figure out what's effective and what's not, and I have a feeling that we're going to see you marketing eventually in the future a little different than some other people.
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm willing to try. That was always the fun thing. Is I'll do anything.
That's what I mean. I think you're willing to say, I don't need to do. I'm recognizing what's effective, but there may be another way to skin this cat. You know what I mean? And if you're effective, they're just going to follow you then too.
Well, and doing the different things, the avant-garde things. One might even say that they're weird. Sometimes gets your message, or it at least just gets your name out above the fray. And
yes.
In the modern world, if you don't achieve that, then it doesn't matter what the rest of it says out. It's kind of like that analogy with the listing photo versus the information.
Yeah.
If that display photo is a little weak and it's not good, yet it doesn't. There's no click on it.
That's right.
And it doesn't go any farther. But if it's really cool and it makes the house look like it's huge, and there's a sunset in the background and all these other things, all it has to do is to get them to open up that listing.
That's right.
And not just continue to scroll through the email or whatever.
That's right. Well, ending this, can you tell everybody how the heck they can get a hold of you if they want to list or sell a property? Again, where you're at, where's what's your address there? Let's get your goal.
Well,
let's make Christina and Anthony. Let's make them happy.
I mean, this is a lesson I've had to learn too. So we used to spend a lot of time in the radio world, and we would take half the radio commercial on the back end of it and say, now remember, you can call me at 412-613-1789, or you can visit Mark Peterson. .myrealty1.com.
Look at you moving on with the times.
And these sorts of things. But that just took 10 or 20 seconds.
Right.
Bottom line is, Mark Peterson Realtor, follow it on Facebook.
That's right.
And probably if you Google that phrase, you'll find me. And once you're there, my email's there, my phone number's there. You can instant message me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm starting to learn how to do that too. But the reality is,
do you TikTok?
I've signed up for an account.
Okay, because I don't TikTok. My kids make fun of me because I watch Facebook Reels. That's as far as I get.
Yeah, I keep thinking, why do you need to wind the watch? It's the TikTok thing, Don't we have batteries watch?
You're not supposed to say things like that. We're supposed to look like we understand everything.
Yeah.
So, well, it was great you being here. You are a superstar. I'm expecting big things from you. And I know Christina and Anthony, they trust you. And I'm hoping with all these new locations, you're number one. You are going to be the sales leader.
Well,
Keep it up.
If I am not, Greg, I will at least pretend that I'm happy for the other one.
No, you won't. Well, thank you for
the opportunity.
Thank you for being here.
I hope I don't come across as too haughty and arrogant and confident in myself.
This has been honesty. It's great. And I think people are going to appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.